Yeah. Hey, welcome to BPM, you know we are the vibe. This is the Remix Morning Show, we coming live. We got that boom breakfast, that's so nice. This is the Remix Morning Show, we coming live. Yes. Welcome out. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Let me introduce you to our host. We got no other than the article done data, Dr. Jerry Ball. And the one queen of the dance goes by the name of Burn It Down, Kim
Wow.
Ain't no stomping Nancy now. You hear me say? Ain't no stomping Nancy now. Yes. Wake us up, Ear Doctor, with some island rhythms. We love that.
Very well done. Very well done.
Man, how y'all doing?
I can't complain. What's up, good people?
Good morning.
What's up, remixers?
What's up, remixers? What's going on? Y'all missed us yesterday? Maybe.
A little bit.
Teeny tiny bit. Hope everybody's doing well. How are you gentlemen doing? Looking nice and glowy. Look at this. Yellow number 3 and 5. I love it.
3 and 5.
And Manila down there. I see you.
I don't know who you're talking about, man. I see melanated vibes at the bottom. I don't know. It's a little depleted up top. I don't know what y'all talking about.
You got that Manila folder look down there. I'm just saying. Manila envelope face ass. All right, we said we're gonna stop this colorism, didn't we?
Nope, can't. Cannot. I can't.
Especially
not with all these light brights on the screen. No, we got to get these yellow jokes off.
Especially if we got the Empress coming through, the one who called Jackie Lukman.
Here I am.
The champ is here. Let's go. Good morning, Jackie.
Good morning. I don't know where I am. I don't know what I'm doing. What day is it? I'm not sure.
Look like you in Wakanda somewhere.
I'm trying to be. I'm so very confused.
Oh, look, they did some redecorating up in Sputnik. Look at that.
It's Cultural Appreciation Day.
Hanging out at the Lukman Manse today, Lukman Manor. Have to do medical stuff. It's not fun, but here I am.
Well, we're lovely. So happy to see you as usual, Jacqueline.
Glad to see y'all.
Good to see you, Jackie. And as I told you yesterday, I heard from your boy. I heard from your boy. So
who you talking about? Don't leave us out.
Right.
No. So
his what do we want to call him? His accomplice,
the sidekick.
That's a good name.
No, so Aaron Mate hits me up yesterday on Twitter in the DMs and says, I watched your Norman Finkelstein interview and you said that I had, whatever he said, he said I misrepresented him. He said, when did we claim to be Fred Hampton? And when did I whatever it was when I forgot exactly how he phrased it, but he didn't like the way I put it out there that he refused to engage me around my critique of Peniel Joseph in favor of Gerald Horn's defense of Peniel. With all due respect to Horn, Robin Kelly, and everyone else, they're dead wrong in their defense of Peniel Joseph, and that was my argument. And so he felt that he was done wrong. And I just responded once to say, basically, my point was, I'm not here. I erased the chat, so I don't have it in front of me. That's why I'm struggling to remember verbatim. But my point was, the issue isn't, I told him it was inappropriate to come at me when he needed to, explain his silent sidekicking as Max sat there and delivered this horrific interview in which he took shots at our comrade Jackie, in which they claimed to be Fred Hampton. And, it was like, so my bottom line was, I'm not interested in you coming at me now. Is really my point. You had all the chance in the world when I offered up to engage over time, some time ago, offered up principled engagement. They weren't interested, had them on my show. all of that kind of stuff. They weren't interested. And now, and then the other part of it was that I didn't say, but I was like, all of that good conversation with Finkelstein, all that could be said and critiqued and discussed, and this is what you come to me for? I was like, nah, man, nah. So anyway,
we got beef.
It's just
the bottom line. Is it beef?
It is. That's right. That's right. That's right. It is beef, and I think that the response of these folks is I think indicative of who the snowflakes in this whole thing really are, because they sure do get upset when people misrepresent their positions, when their positions are shitty in the first place. Even if, and you were absolutely correct, because they absolutely did on Jimmy Dore's show talk about how they were really manifesting the legacy of Fred Hampton, and we were not, by excluding their right-wing bigot friends. They absolutely did represent themselves that way. That's a crappy position. That is an insulting, ahistorical, violent to the actual revolution and revolutionaries position, as far as I'm concerned. So there was no misrepresentation of Aaron Mate's position. If he didn't have that position, when that comment was made, that was the moment that he should have spoken up, not picking some random interview that didn't have anything to do with him or them. So if he is the less guilty party in this whole sordid affair, then his silence on the matter makes him just as guilty as anybody else. And he in the same camp with them Bamas. He guilty. He a little snowflake. He is a right-wing adjacent white man. As far as I'm concerned, he's a right-wing opportunist, just like the rest of them, who decided they could get some mileage off of attacking me. Somebody who ain't never said nothing about them people, ain't paid no attention to them, didn't care about them, ain't never had their name in my mouth, but they wanted that smoke, and now they got it. And now they want to bring Jared into it too. Nope.
Well, what I thought was funny is that I didn't want to engage. Like I was just like, I just gave him one little thing. It was like peace, and then he responded, and I just erased it. Like I'm not arguing with this dude. Like you,
they baiting you.
Yeah, I was like, because that was really what it was. And I even told my wife at dinner, I said, this is the slight sign of maturity as I cross 50s to my 50s. Because maybe 5 minutes ago, I would have jumped all up in that and just stayed in an argument. But the point is, there is no genuine desire to engage. There's no it's not like I disagree with you, Jared. Let's build. I'm just trying to get you into something, get you off your square. And it may have worked, because then I went to my debate last night and sucked. So good thing there's the second one, because the revolution at Hickory Ridge might be on delay after my performance last night.
Well, I tell you who doesn't suck. No other than the General. Come out, K. Franklin.
Thank you.
Fake ass Brooklyn Army is he running?
Damn. He got these streets.
You too.
He got Cop City streets
first on Brooklyn, man, because I know something's coming. Cabal, stop playing. Stop fronting like you coming in here all
nice, right? With his niceties.
I'm all nice. Have you? Camera's busted. Wow. I have to go buy a new camera.
Oh, here we go.
I have to go buy a new camera because my camera's busted.
Yeah, right. You don't have a 5-star internet for sure.
You got your lights and now your camera's all messed up.
Yeah, you dragging and everything. You looking like 03 over there. Come out. What's going on?
Went and bought a collar shirt now.
He must be going on Democracy Now! Later.
Yeah.
You got another appearance? Is that why you actually? Is that why you wore a grown-up shirt?
No, I don't have any appearance today.
Y'all
didn't hear me.
Not a grown-up shirt.
Trade up, show thermals.
That's what we need for come out and rock some BPM swag. We need a button down.
He said I'm out.
We need a BPM button down, like a little.
Sorry, come back.
Go back, man.
I don't think y'all can even hear me. Everything's a lag, right?
Well, not everything. You sounded a little better
you're
now,
good
but your
now.
picture looks a little blurry, though, bro. You said your
my
camera.
I was saying my camera's broken.
How? How did you break the camera?
I think I might have stepped on it because I think a wire is kind of loose.
Why was it on the floor?
Kids.
Why was the camera on the floor? Come out.
Kids. That's what kids do.
Them kids that put the camera on the floor. These children have an appreciation for electronics these days.
Okay.
No. They'll break something. They'll break it the first day and then want you to go buy it again.
That's what I was thinking. The expectation is he can get another one.
He got money.
How my kids are. What?
Exactly. That's exactly the expectation.
The iPad don't work.
And then the explanation is, I don't know what happened, Daddy.
Run off to the
With a
store.
footprint on the
You still got the receipt. What's wrong?
Big up Jordan Jones, new member to YouTube.
Hey,
How is Jordan a new member?
Man,
that's about time. What the heck?
It's not even about time. He's basically paid staff.
Right.
What did he a new member for?
What kind of background do we have up in here where the people who work for us are not members? Who made
Kalonji don't even follow us on social. Let me break this news. Kalonji don't even follow BPM on social media.
Hey, man. Hey.
It's
a process.
Let me just throw that out there.
It's a process. It's a process. You know what I'm saying? Brother's very deliberate.
I thought the other day, I was like, wait a minute, you don't follow BPM?
Kind of sketchy allyship.
But BPM follows him.
Right.
No question.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is painful. That is painful. He should be dragged for that. That's
exactly.
Shame on him.
Exactly.
Shame on him.
Kalonji, your ears should be burning. Come on up here, man. Come on up here, Kalonji. Wake up. Somebody call him. Wake him up.
He's running for the plug now. He's
Yep.
plug it in. Where's my lights?
Smoking the rest of his drink. Wait a minute.
Green screen up.
You'll come crashing in the studio any minute now. I heard you. What are you talking about?
What's up, bro?
Here I go.
Heard my name being talked about, and I just had to stop by and swing by, and see what the deal was, see what the problem was, see if there's any smoke needed.
Moving
You know what I'm saying?
out the way, standing up.
This is a sidetracking of the slave. Leave that man alone. Yo, we need to take a break and come back to y'all with some news. Yo, welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. Thank all y'all remixers for tuning in. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe button, and all the buttons down there. With that said, let's go ahead and get to our first break right here on the Remix Morning Show. All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome out once again to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor in case you don't know. Now you do know. Hey, go ahead and hit that like button. Like I said, subscribe. Go to patreon.com. Drop some change in the bucket. Also, you can go to our Cash app and drop some change on Black Power Media. That's right, Black Power Media. What is our Cash app? That's a good question you wanted to know. It is no other than Black Power Media. $ Black Power Media. So go ahead and drop some change there. With that said, we trying to make some things happen, y'all. Continue to please support us. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get to some weather. We took a little break yesterday, but we are back with it. So let's start in the ATL. We got a high of, let's get some background music here while we going. You know what I'm saying? We got a high today in the ATL of 65, starting off with 44. And then next, let's go to the city of brotherly love. Let's go to Philadelphia. They starting at 37 and reaching all the way up to 57. So that's 20 degrees, getting higher. Next, let's take it to the windy city, Chicago. They got a high today of 38. It's right now 36. So they only getting like 2 degrees higher. Next, let's take it over to Denver, Colorado. Big up to people all over the Denver area. We got Denver going from 24 to 53 degrees as they high. And now let's take it to the west side, the Bay, Oakland, California, going from 47 to a high of 53. Now let's take it to Rio de Janeiro. They got a high today of 84. And last but not least, let's take it to the motherland. Let's go to Senegal. They got a high today of 80. Now that's pretty hot. Now I'll tell you what else is pretty hot. A lot of the people that seen the whole shooting that went down the other day with the shooter from Nashville, Audrey Hill, who came in and shot like 6 people and killed 6 people. Now a lot of people are getting caught up in the what was it, the transgender coming in at the old school and shooting up people and wondering why and what this happened. Listen, it's going to be a whole lot of things that's going to sidetrack us about what's happening. What's the solution though? How do we fix this? My solution is, let's go back to Joe Clark. Let's lock these doors. Let's get some metal detectors all around the school. And let's treat these schools like they treat banks. Let's get an armored, secure guard that they can take out the possible military budget and put it into the schools. Get some cameras. Do all this stuff to prevent possibly another thing like this happening. Yeah, we could get caught into all the chatter and the media coverage, but what's the solution? That's one of mine. I don't know. Let's talk to the Remix Morning crew. You know we handling it right here on the news, right here on Black Power Media. So let's go ahead and get right back to our host with the most right here on the Remix Morning Show. Yeah.
I zoned out a little bit while you was talking, and then I zoned back in. Did you say put armed guards in the school and redistribute the military budget to protect schools with armed people?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what he said.
So what exactly do you do when you're not on the screen? Do you like listen to what we say? Do you know? That's not no, and
what are y'all? What are y'all? The last word? What do you mean? What do you say?
I mean, but you don't want your children to be in a situation.
Oh, he's salty this morning. Oh, he's salty. Okay.
I didn't know y'all had all the answers. My bad. Continue.
Oh, not all the answers.
Damn.
Listen. The bottom line is this: like, if people had access, if we had literally lifetime access to mental health solutions, counseling, medication, whatever, like I'm telling you, a lot of these shootings wouldn't happen because people would not feel so desperate and so at the end of their rope that violence is the only response that they have. Like, we don't deal with people who are in crisis for a long-term process. So this is what ends up happening. These schools end up getting shot up. But I'm telling you, more cops in the schools is not the solution here, doctor, because all they're gonna do is stop and frisk all the Black and brown students.
I didn't say cops, I said security guards.
Same thing. Same thing.
No,
it's like,
it's not the same thing. Because
they can't arrest you as long as they can't arrest you.
Thank you.
And don't brutalize you.
Lawyer, please.
But also, I mean, no, you're definitely wrong here, doctor.
I'm out of here.
But you want them armed. So if they're armed security, they might as well be cops.
Well, I agree. They shouldn't be armed either. I don't think they should be armed. But I mean, also, let's think about making sure folks don't have access to those kind of weapons. I'm not sure why in the so-called modern society you should have AKs. You ain't using that shit for hunting. Like, what is that for? You know what I mean? So people use those kind of weapons and they go shoot things up. It's different if like you're angry and you just stomp around your house and you're mad, whatever, So even when people are angry and they haven't gotten things that they need yet, at least they can't go in schools and shoot them up. So I know people don't like the gun control thing, but I'm definitely one of these cats that's like, this is too much guns on the street and they got no other purpose.
Well, I guess my position is slightly different from yours, Kamal, because I don't even think gun control and giving people access to certain or taking away access to certain guns is even the answer, because we've crossed that bridge. I mean, the population of the United States is 331 million people. There are literally more guns in the possession of people in this country where there is more than one gun for every person. That's the guns that are legally registered, and they're not all AK-47s. The person who committed this crime in Tennessee also had handguns on her possession that I believe they used. And so I think we've gotten to the point where there are so many guns in this country that there's no controlling them, right? Mm-hmm. There's no limiting access to guns that is going to have any impact on the amount of guns that are already in circulation in the population of this country. For me, the answer is a socialist society where Kim said people have access to the resources they need to address whatever issue they have, so they can be made to feel whole, so all of their needs are met. They don't have to struggle for resources and to secure their material needs. And wealth, or the lack thereof, is not a barrier to mental health support. I'm not saying that that is this person's problem, but I mean, it is an issue. And also we really need to contend with the way religious institutions indoctrinate and demonize people. But I think that indoctrinate and demonize people who do not fit their acceptable mold of what a person should be in any case, man, woman, young girl, young boy. And that's something that absolutely needs to happen within Christian societies. But I think ultimately, regardless of the context of the shooting, you notice these things just don't happen in socialist societies where people's needs, material, basic human rights needs, are met, and people don't feel like if they are having a problem, they have to, commit a crime to get enough money to go get some help. So for me, the ultimate answer to these problems is socialism.
Well, I just want to say that even in capitalist countries, these things aren't happening. These things are happening here in the United States in particular, because of the history of race, class, the use and idea of what weapons are for, or who gets to have them, or how you act out psychologically when you have issues and or problems. So I'm not even disagreeing with some of the other stuff that you said around, obviously, resources. I think all that stuff lowers the level. But I also think when human beings are filled with emotions, that having them have less access to something that can do mass harm, as opposed to someone gets punched in the face, it's a lot different than somebody pulling out a weapon and deciding to fire back at several people. And no matter what the reason is or whatever, I just think if we had a society that actually was thinking about its concern around its citizens, and I think maybe you're probably right that only will happen under a socialist government, or that only will happen under sort of something radically different, where people feel connected to society as opposed to feeling ostracized, or the way to solve some issue is to individually take out a weapon and shoot people that have no idea who they are and what their lives are and anything of that nature. So I just think there's a whole lot to think through in terms of why it's happening. But I do know for the most part, it happens here at a level and at a rate that has never happened in human society or any society before.
So just quickly, when the 1 year I taught at a public charter high school in DC in Southwest, they put in the metal detectors and hired security. And it was clear then, as I think it is, and I saw Ricky mention this in the chat, as it is occurring now at Morgan State, that this is more about protecting the campus and the institution from some sort of liability than it is about protecting the kids, because the kids are all very clear. Even the high school kids were very clear then. We got coming here and leaving here. We have to fight and struggle to get back and forth. Our homes are war zones. This is just an added nuisance and irritant that slows us down getting into class and getting in. And when people want to do something to you, they find a way. I mean, they find ways. If somebody really wants to commit an act of violence against somebody, there's very little anyone can do. I mean, that's just the unfortunate reality. So they were clear on that. And as my Morgan students, again, it's unofficial, data, I guess you would call it. It's anecdotal. But we've been talking a lot this semester about these changes with an increased security guards. I just learned this semester, I think in part because of BAP's presentation, is when that the security that has been hired is a whole new firm in addition to the regular Morgan State Police, in addition to the city police. And the students, to the extent that they feel safe on campus, it has nothing to do with the security guards. It's just a general sense of I'm cool being on campus. If anything, the students are reporting the security guards decrease a sense of community and safety, and that they are themselves antagonists, as is certainly felt by the presence of metal detectors at the dorms and the general police experience in the city. So to many of the points being already made, the solution, unfortunately, of the ear doctor is not the solution. And then I think I heard somebody make the point, but we saw that with Uvalde, even when the cops are there, if somebody's shooting, they don't do nothing. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. Once somebody is determined, and that is the point that they've reached, in this society, there's little that can be done. There's no mental health safety, there's no health insurance, and there's plenty of guns. So
this is what we get.
Yep.
And thank you for bringing up that point about Uvalde. The Texas Tribune just came out with a report that said that there was basically 400 guns out in the hallway and outside of the perimeter of the school versus one gun. And all them cops out there was scared to death of that one AR-15. And they were not willing to risk their own lives or their own personal safety to protect children, to protect fourth graders. Same thing at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. There was a sheriff's deputy stationed there. And when the shooting started, that nigga ran. He got the fuck out of Dodge. He said, they're shooting. I got to go. Good luck, kids. Damn. Or fuck them kids. However you want to take it, was the message sent to the children. So more people armed on school campuses are not going to keep the kids safe.
No. And honestly, we should not put our trust in any kind of law enforcement apparatus in this country that clearly devalues, or not devalues, doesn't see Black adult life as valuable. They sure as hell aren't going to bend over backwards to protect the lives of Black and brown kids. I mean, how many times have we seen the videos of school resource officers straight out assaulting our kids, even outside of the context of an active shooter situation, just straight up assaulting our kids? Why? That is not that. More cops in schools, more metal detectors, more. That's not the answer. That's not the answer at all.
And yes, Leah, and I see Ricky's got more information in the chat, but yes, Leah, it's the Morgan State Police, it's the Baltimore City Police, and now a new private security group that they've just added.
Serious?
Yeah, and they walk around in their little out. I mean, it's
all the dorms in Morgan up to snuff. You understand? Like all the priorities for the students' needs are being met before the security firm was hired. Of course not.
No, students.
It's always more security. Yeah. It's always more cops. It's always the answer. It's always for them. It's like, what is it? The proverbial hammer and everything's a nail. Everything is about cops.
And again, I don't have any official research in front of me. Certainly haven't conducted any. But the students that I hear from in my classes are over the years and even more recently are their issues with campus almost never have to do with something about safety or violence. It's not that there are no issues, but that's not their primary concern. It's not that there's this overwhelming lack of safety on the campus, that their concerns have to do with everything else, from the amenities to support to the quality tuition to the quality of the. And really, it's not even so much the tuition. It's really what they're usually, the issue is what they get. They don't mind the actual number isn't affecting them yet, at least maybe. But it's what they feel that they get in terms of service, in terms of the quality, again, of the amenities, in terms of quality of the educational experience, and so on and so on and so on, which again, I will always say can never meet its top mark as if faculty are teaching 4+ classes every semester. It's just never going to be the high. It's just never going to be. So, but this whole thing of, because I was even asking them this semester. So it was like all this increased security. Is it, are the numbers, is there like data, like violence is up on campus? And I don't know what the data is saying, but the students aren't reporting that as a concern. So that's,
So I'm hearing what doesn't work. Do we have anybody have an opinion or a solution for a solution?
Jackie said socialism. I stand with Jackie.
I'll third that. You only get that through organizing.
But what I hear in Ear Doctor's question is what I think a lot of us get in a variety of ways when we engage a variety of topics, and that is that there is we need something concrete and something that can happen right now, and put somebody in front of the school. So I know, like, there are 2 armed staffers or security or police or whatever they are in the school my daughters go to.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Are they HOCO police, or are they?
I can't honestly remember if they're officially Howard County Police, but there's something akin to that. And I think they actually may be, because the cars are always outside and they have cuffs. They have arresting capability. So but they're there, and they introduce themselves on parent night, and we see them. But my thing is, it's again largely, I hate to say it this way, largely show and for some sort of liability thing, because again, at the point someone has reached that conclusion, these 2 ain't, I mean, what are they going to, I look at them like, I'm not, I mean, and that's definitely how I feel when I walk on campus and in my building and I see these security guards walking around. I'm like, if I really was at the point of desperation or collapse or whatever the issue is when people hit these walls, you even at 50, shit. Whatever,
y'all ain't stopping shit.
Yeah, I'm like, so I'm like, what is this for?
Well, I think that's, to me, part about when folks say, what's the answer? It's like, there's no one answer, but the answer that people continually fall back on is that they're going to get more cops and more security, because that's what people are trained to think makes them safe. And so when the news runs, if it bleeds, it leads kind of stories, then that just gets more people scared. It makes the whatever the city governments or the corporations in terms of what they want, more cops, or more security type folks. But the larger issues are never solved. And so the issue still remains, because it's always like, okay, you put all these cops on, and whether or not you're talking about mass shootings or whether or not you're talking about so-called safety/crime, the numbers never correlate. That just because you put these armed folks on the street, that it stops anything from happening. It's because all the things that we did talk about, all the underlying conditions, all the underlying issues, no one wants to address those, because that means you have to think about how society is ordered, where resources are distributed, who has access to what, the things that make people whole and safe for real. That doesn't, who wants to work on that when I could just spend some money in the budget to put like some strongmen on the block? And there may be, there may be a slight deterrent on things that are not necessarily well planned out or something like that. But like you said, for folks who are like, oh, I'm ready to die and take others with me, that's just an opportunity for them, right? They don't mind going through that. So,
and to your point, Kamau, like even when you're talking about the school shootings, I mean, we can also draw that line to the overdoses that are happening in schools, right? The police aren't able to stop these kids from ODing in the bathroom on their lunch break, or bringing drugs into the school, or dispensing drugs in the school. Like, there are deeper societal issues here that law enforcement are not able to gauge and to tackle, but we have to pay attention very closely to what the youth are doing, right? If these kids are feeling so, hopeless to the point that some of them will pick up guns and start shooting up their own classmates, or they'll bring drugs into the school, Percocet laced with fentanyl, and their situation is so chaotic that they'll just go in the bathroom and do the drugs, right? The police and law enforcement aren't doing anything to stop that. So the children, this generation is screaming out to us about what they need and what they don't need. And they are emphatically telling us that this is not a law enforcement solution to these problems that they are dealing with.
Because real quick, because if they put a cop in the bathroom, what do? You just go someplace else.
Exactly.
I just find me another spot.
Right. Exactly. You go behind the school. I have no experience with that, but it strikes me that whenever I talk about, look, socialism is the solution to these societal systemic problems. The response, well, what can we do right now? This problem right now, we forget that this society and the sickness that built it didn't happen overnight. I mean, all of this stuff didn't just pop up yesterday. This has been an aspect, this violence toward marginalized, vulnerable people, that is like the foundation of this society. So the expectation that there is going to be a solution, one solution that is implemented today that undoes what is it, 270 nearly 300 years of violence toward vulnerable people, that is literally what this society was built on. I think, for the people who say, that, socialism is not going to happen today, and, that's idealistic. It's idealistic for anybody to think that somebody is going to come up with one solution that's going to undo all of this. And it's going to be a one size fits all solution that isn't going to require any work, that isn't going to require maybe even a violent upheaval of this society itself to get rid of it, because the folks who uphold this system, they're not going to give it up without a fight. So we're literally going to have to fight for our lives. All of that is true. Yes, socialism is the ultimate answer to all of our problems, I think. But I understand that socialism is not going to happen overnight. So what can we do in the meantime? Well, why aren't we fighting for community control over the institutions in our communities? Why are we ceding responsibility for the institutions in our communities to somebody else? Why aren't we fighting for us to control everything in our communities that impacts all of the people in our communities, from education to healthcare to food? That is an immediate solution to some of these issues. But it seems to me that the very people who are asking, well, what's your solution? They're not even doing that.
I also think that, Jackie, it's not even, I was just trying to think it through. What's the math on that? If what would the armed defense force have to look like per school in the, you know what I mean? Like if every elementary, middle, and high school had 3 to 5 armed guards, I thought we don't have any money in this country for education and anything. Who's paying for all of this? Where is this highly trained military defense force coming from?
So I can actually answer a part of that, because I did a story about the Uvalde report that the Texas Tribune did. And one state senator in Texas, I think his name is Gutierrez, has proposed a school force. For every Texas public school, there either will be 1 to 2 armed security or police. And he gave a number of $750 million. That would be just for the state of Texas.
And who's paying for that?
Those who live in Texas.
the Texans, I suppose.
So we'll
I don't think it's going to go through.
From the teachers and less health care, and bump up that force. I think we'll cover that. We'll
Which again, in terms of a solution, that's the solution they're going to choose. That's exactly. They'll be like, "That's sanitation. We'll do that." In other words, more cops.
Yeah,
because whatever that security force is, it'll be tied to whatever the policing agencies locally are. Yeah. It's there'll be more scanners, more medical equipment. Corporations will be rolling out all the new technology they have to watch the kids and all that kind of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be all perform, and then the next shooting will happen again. Instead, then the next solution.
Well, no, then we get more like Blackwaters for schools, right? Because then we'll get federally funded private security companies popping up We'll defend your kids.
Mm-hmm. And then the next, and after that first one fails, then that's the next one. So that'll be 1.5 billion. And then when that fails,
just needs more money. We just need more
money.
Yes,
it's always going to be more money for the security and for the police. And then again, the conversation is never going to be where we're going to get that from. It's just we got it.
Right. Yeah. Right. And then that will also be the excuse for the expansion of the 1033 program in high schools. Because, once the school shootings don't stop, once they put more cops in there, then the excuse is going to be, oh, well, our cops were outgunned.
Oh, my God.
So then there's going to be the argument for military equipment to be deployed in public high schools.
A sniper on the rooftop.
There you go.
Every sniper turret of every
gun turret.
A sniper on the roof of every school.
Drones. No, Predator defense drones.
With explosives in case they see somebody wearing all black.
Yes.
It looks like they should be taken out ahead of time.
Then we can take away
dogs. We walk back to NCAA. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. I'm just repeating, echoing what Jackie said. I said not the robot dogs, not Black Mirror coming live to an elementary school near you.
Yes, and then walk back the payment of college athletes because we can't afford that now because that money has to go to the security at the universities. So get them back to unpaid labor. We'll figure this out. I like this. Yeah. I think we've solved this on the Remix Morning Show.
No more this tenure stuff. Adjunct. Yeah.
You
know what I mean? People should sacrifice for the kids.
Wow.
If we reduce teacher salaries. There we go.
Perfect.
Somebody ran us some money. Who ran us some bucks?
We've been getting a couple of dollars because of my bad camera.
Funding social programs. Infinite content. You're going in the wrong direction.
That's not.
Sorry.
Nobody has the appetite for that.
Rewind a little bit. We've already solved that. We don't need that. We don't need that.
I apologize for my beeping machine, y'all. This is what I go through every day.
I just want 4 days. As long as you weren't under an assault, there was some sort of timer connected to it. As long as you good, like blink twice if you actually okay. You know.
No, I'm fine. That's the way technology is. Like, look, you better come and attend to my issues over here, or the next time you connect to me, you might get a surprise that you don't like. So.
But wait, you have a little green screen too now? Is that the green screen thing? Or is that just something?
That's the green screen. It's back there. Yeah.
She decorated at Sputnik. They Sputnik said, do what you want.
Put some more money in the budget. They didn't spend it on security.
Look, I told you, Vlad be paying these bills.
Come on now.
Vlad be paying the bills.
Come on now. The Russians pay nice rubles. The
real Vlad TV.
Right.
No, it really is funny though that in all seriousness, and this is, we didn't even we meaning everybody at Sputnik, we didn't even ask for a raise. We just got it. It was just we were all brought into the editor-in-chief's office, and I'm like, because we've been on, cancellation watch ever since February 24th, 2022. Me and Sean been going in the studio, and Josh been going to the studio every day. Like, is today the day we're gonna lose our job?
The switch to see if it actually turns on.
Right. Every time we go up to the door, make sure the key fob works. So every day we're like, whoo. So
that's how I felt that Morgan get my ID updated last week. I went to the kiosk and I was looking like when you hand them the credit card, is this gonna really work? I don't know.
Right.
And I was waiting for them to say, "You don't work here no more.
You don't work here.
You have no access to nothing." And they were like, "No, you." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Wow." Whew.
Yeah. So we individually got called into the editor-in-chief's office. So
oh wow,
you Black. That's like, oh shit. I'm sorry. What? And this is the only job where I would fight to keep my job. So
she came in like this.
I was like,
I got called to the office. It's like, no, that wasn't me. And let me tell you about yourself. I'm ready for it right there.
Now we're just trying to give you a raise.
It was for a second. I was like, what? Did you just hold on? So then we all kind of went back to our desks.
Damn, I've never had that experience. I'm thinking about it. It's like no one's ever called me in the office and just gave me a raise.
That was the first time that has ever happened in my work life. That has never. And it was, and that joint was generous too. So,
ooh, come through, Vlad. Robos, them Robos, come through, Robos.
I am happily committing class suicide and using all them extra rubles to
Damn, it's only been bad news when I've been called into a superior's office.
Well, Kamal, I mean,
I'm just saying it's never been good news.
You one of them troublemakers, man. I mean, trust me, y'all. If we was alive in slavery times, none of us would have lasted very long. No, they would have made examples out of each and every single person on the screen. Slim.
I would have been down for the poison because I'm assuming I'd be up in the attic and shit. So I might, little poisoning of folks, little poisoning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Nighttime action, little stabby in the bed.
We need so many more of those stories. Anybody who has slave rebellion stories of enslaved people burning down the master's house, poisoning the fan. I'd love to hear all those stories, please.
Share. I would have been in the kitchen grinding glass. You hear me?
Girl, there was a story of Prince George's County, I believe. It was a young girl, a young pair of sisters, I think, burned down the master's house, and they had the ad in the paper looking for them, two negresses wanted for arson and murder. I said, look at them soldiers, look at them sisters. Superheroes, exactly.
And that's black we don't know enough of those stories.
Magic.
Exactly. We don't know enough of those stories. Like, they keep those stories away from us.
Yes, they do, intentionally.
Because you're right. It's like anytime I see, like, on internet, there's always every now and then a brushing of like these news articles, either looking for runaways, looking for sabotage, saboteurs, all that kind of stuff. But you never get. I know, obviously, Robin Kelly tried to do some of that work. I forgot the name of the book in terms of talking about the different types of slave rebellions that are not counted because of they didn't involve weapons or whatever. But but there's a lot of stories of like that kind of sabotage, and obviously a lot more that we just don't know about because it wasn't reported in newspapers or whatever. So.
What's the famous one? There's an infamous one from Louisiana. Is it the Myrtles plantation, chat? Where the enslaved young woman, I think, cooked up, what is it, oleander, some sort of leaf that produces some sort of toxin and killed the whole family. I said, wow, look at that.
I cooked a special dinner for y'all tonight.
Special dinner for y'all. I made it real nice, just for you, Missy.
Real nice.
Yes, ma'am. No, sir.
It's your favorites. It's your favorites tonight.
Oh my God.
I like that line that I will credit I got from Hassan Campbell, and it's really one of the few things I would want to take away from his broader analyses. But that whole thing of there's the field slave, there's the house slave, me, I'm a runaway. And I like that. I like that. I'm out. Anyway, speaking of, I was gonna get there here, Doctor. I was coming for you.
I got a question, playing devil's advocate and stuff, trying to understand.
No,
we pray to Jesus why this man plays devil advocate.
Say crackers advocate.
That too. So what I'm wondering about this whole socialism is I'm wondering about, does it work? Can it not? You're being funny. Can it work in a capitalistic system? Being exactly.
No, that's why you get rid of the capitalism.
It's one or the other.
So with that said, socialism cannot work in these capitalistic schools because it's a system. So therefore, what Infinite Content was saying is more like you got to have the after school programs. You got to have schools on Saturday. You can't have the socialistic system inside a capitalistic system. So therefore, after school programs and Black African-centered schools are the only ways you can really get this message out. Is that correct or no?
Well, that's not the only way. But as I said, socialism is a societal answer. It's not some socialist programs in this capitalist system. No, it's the entire system. This country needs to be a socialist country for all of our needs to be met. Until we get there, there are some aspects of the institutions in our communities that we can impact, But that's where community control over those institutions come in. So do we want BlackRock controlling the after school programs? Do we want ROTC after school programs? Do we want police cadet after school programs? Because those are the kinds of after school programs that the people who are currently in charge of the system, those are the kinds of programs they will institute. How do I know? Because all of the after school programs and extracurricular activities and humanities and arts and classics, all of those courses that were a part of the regular curriculum when we went to school and when our parents went to school, they got rid of that shit.
Jared, what you laughing at?
Just a couple things in the chat that are hilarious.
Yo, I'm just trying. It seems like these capitalistic systems are set, and then you're trying to bring a whole new system in somebody else's house.
Yes,
we have
that's the whole point, to tear down the capitalist system,
burn it down,
burn it down. Yeah, absolutely. That's the point.
It's an ongoing fight.
Ain't that like trying to have a black nation inside of America? It kind of don't.
That's part of the fight.
You're missing the part where we're saying get rid of the capitalism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not put socialism in capitalism. It would be replaced.
So you want,
but it's an ongoing struggle, though.
Right.
I want to kick,
but it's an ongoing struggle. I feel like even the things that you described can be useful, because short of the bloody revolution that's happening in a day or two, there's going to have to be institutions, curriculum, study, preparation, all that stuff. If it's done within the setting of moving towards something that's different from capitalism, can not only be useful, but it can develop more radicals and revolutionaries who are willing to fight the capitalist system. So, but none of it does any good if it's not done in the sense of it's trying to move people to a different politic and make them do something different. Because again, if after school programs are not the solution, because the whole larger society of and by itself is not shifting, and after school programs will still get attacked. Right.
But here, Doctor, remember the initial point you raised was just putting armed guards in the school. So the response we were generally offering was a societal response. So even when you came back just now and suggested after school this, African centered that, you're already moving towards what we were talking about. It can't, the solution just can't be put a guard there, because that's not addressing what's causing all of this. So it is bigger than just, and which is what you know.
Okay, so I see, and now I'm a student. I'm not acting like I know everything, everybody in the chat room. So when we're talking about bringing in therapists and stuff like that, that's more of the socialism type.
That's just common sense. You being
it's a start.
But as in coming with solutions.
But for people who say, and I saw Minister Service comment and a couple of the comments in the chat, and we get this all the time, the United States will never be a socialist society. I mean, do we ignore the fact that at one point people said slavery would never end? And I know that, technically slavery was just changed into something else under the Constitution, but the legal institution of the enslavement of African people, I mean, for 248 years, people said that would never end, and it did. It was reiterated into something else. The divine right of kings, people said that would never end, and it did. I mean, people on the continent said Britain, Belgium, Germany would always colonize.
The sun will never set.
Countries in Africa. I'm sure the people in Guinea-Bissau thought, and the people in Burkina Faso. I was just thinking about Thomas Sankara yesterday. I'm sure the people in Burkina Faso thought that they would never kick the colonizers out, but they did. And that's the reason that the revolutionary African leaders like Sankara, like Amilcar Cabral, like Samora Machel, like so many others, were targeted, killed, and cooed, not because they were ineffective and because they didn't change the system. They were targeted because they did. They were targeted because they won, because they defeated colonialism and imperialism. So we have a whole history of literally overturning, destroying, running out capitalist oppressors. And here we are saying it can't be done in this country. How? Is it going to be easy? Hell no. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. And that certainly doesn't mean we shouldn't try. Because if we don't try, we sure as hell never will do it. But if we try, if we have the audacity to try, we just might win this thing. And I believe that we can.
All right. So in the words of Jesse Jackson. In the words of Jesse Jackson, keep hope alive.
Now,
all right. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show and come right back at you. Remix Morning Show. Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. Man, I hope y'all tuned in, having a good time and learning something and getting to say some stuff about me that y'all bombing on me. I love it. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get to a artist spotlight. It is still Women's History Month. So who do I want to talk about today? No other than one of the queens of the dance hall. She goes by the name of no other than Tanya Stephens. That's right. Also known as Vivian Tanya Stephenson. That's right. Stage name, reggae singer and DJ who came out in the 1990s. Most known for her hit, You're Not Ready for This Yet, Boy. That's right. She came out with that. And later on the Reggae Gold 1997, she came out with the song It's a Pity You Already Have a Wife. That was the joint too. And she came out also and founded Tarantula Records. So she's straight out of Jamaica, St. Mary's. She's been doing this for a while. She even came out in 1994 with doing a remix of Tom's Diner. And you also know the song Go-Go. Yeah, that right there. So she has over 9 albums. She has a bunch of singles. She's been out of time for a while now. She had a little bit of legal issues dealing with Lil' Kim. She said Lil' Kim plagiarized her song Dirty from The Naked Truth. And so she had to go see Lil' Kim. But Lil' Kim was like, yo, I'm a big fan, blase blah. And they recorded that song together that never came out. So big up to no other than his sister. She came out with a lot of slackness at first and then came with some conscious music. So big up to the people that come out with slackness first and then come with some conscious music once they get an understanding of the world. With that said, that is no other than Tanya Stephens. Now let's take it back to the Remix Morning crew. You know how we do. All right, let's go. When you buck them a road and them a bus smuggle, just chat them with a friend, girl, and giggle. Cause you have the upper hand right, you know. Girl, bago. Yeah.
Slackness, Ear Doctor? Slackness? I'm not familiar with the term. Educate me, please.
Yes,
Slackness is when you talk like a bunch of raunchy lyrics, like, you know, the beginning, the Lil' Kim lyrics of sexualizing, a bunch of homophobic lyrics, especially in reggae. A lot of that was brought up back at that time. So yeah, the disrespectful lyrics.
You can use that extent to like Ear Doctor's analysis is like for slackness.
Oh,
and we're waiting for him to get like some consciousness so he can have.
Are you still in your slackness phase, Ear Doctor?
No, I pretty much put in work with people and the youth every day. I do a lot more than the people sitting behind the computer screen.
Oh.
So, what else did you have a question about? I'm in these streets. Talk to me.
Just slackness. That's it. I'm not familiar with the term, but big
up
in
the streets.
It seems as though the lady dance hall artists come out with the slackness, and then they make a big 180, like Lady Saw, and this lady right here. Like, what's up with that? What's up with that?
Patra, she did it too.
Oh, Patra went Christian
she
too.
Went Christian too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I mean, it's good though. It's
I think it's the patriarchy. I think the patriarchy is doing something to these sisters. Like
a lot of them go to gospel. I do notice that a lot of them go to gospel music after they deal with a lot of slackness.
I was in church this weekend. I was in church. Was it this weekend? I was in church on Sunday.
Are you sure?
What? It's still
the
standing.
Shrine of the Black Madonna, B.
What?
Oh,
Did somebody trick you? They said it was going to be a protest there. It was a rally. It was a direct action at the church.
They spoke out about Cop City. So
there we go.
Got him.
But in any Black Christian church, as always, the music was banging. So I was like,
yeah.
And
Shrine of the Black Madonna is actually a very radical Pan-African church.
Wow.
I can't. What does the name of the guy? I can't remember the name of the man who started the
Reverend Cleage. At least that was his government.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, he was about that life. So yeah.
What's the denomination? What's the denomination of these Kojics or these Baptists? Who are these people? Are they AMEs?
I think the denomination is Shrine of the Black Madonna.
Wow.
And
they're specifically Pan-Africanist nationalists in their Christianity. So although they're like and I think they're comrades of Malcolm back in Detroit, they've spread out across the country. I think they have about 19 churches here in Atlanta. They actually are in the West End. They own some storefronts. They might even own an apartment complex. They have over 300 acres of land called Beulah in Alabama. And so they come out of that time period, but like they've ups and downs in terms of the amount of people who join and stay active and stuff like that. That's something that as people move away from sort of the radical discourse in terms of talking about stuff, and they want their Christianity, I guess more white based. The church has suffered in terms of numbers, but it is still going and trying to rebuild. So,
can we invite them? Come out? Can you ask somebody? I mean, not to try to convert people, but I'm intrigued by this. This.
I keep thinking I used to go I would have joined the nation, but but thinking about if I had an ounce of spirituality, what would I? The Shrine of the Black Madonna would be high up on my list of places that I would, and just in terms of the institution, the structure, the infrastructure, the ideological framework of it. Yeah, no, we should definitely have somebody on to talk about the history of the Shrine of the Black Madonna and stuff.
Hey, Kamal, we should do a show called Religion and Politics and really that would be dope.
Well, this is where we need to go because I found somebody sent me where my new church is.
What?
And yeah.
Are y'all getting older? Y'all getting closer to heaven? Y'all getting nervous now, huh?
That's what it is. You getting a little shook up. You're closer to the death than you were.
Who's coming to the word? Oh Lord.
This is where I'm gonna be on Sundays right here.
We gotta take a snatch for that right
word
there.
over the pot.
Somebody come and bring the word of stuff. Y'all got your Bible, stand on your feet, get your word in your hand. Oh Lord, keep that target right there. I don't know what to do. Can I see that? If y'all don't mind, y'all turn to Psalm 40. Turn to Psalm 40. We just gonna be in a pocket for a minute right here. I'm just gonna read the word in the pocket. I feel a pocket anointing in the house. Amen. Psalm 40. Just open your Bible to the middle.
To the middle,
somewhere there. Just in case you didn't know, I sound like Chuck now. Where Psalms was that? Hey, Psalm 40. Reads it like this, y'all. Psalm 40. Hey, I said it reads like this.
He ain't find a page. That's the problem.
I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and the mire. He set my feet on the rock.
I'm telling you that works for me. I will be up in that joint every Sunday. No, we have not slapped the map. Thank you very much.
I thought about that too. We never.
There's
slapped
nothing
the map.
going on.
Let's slap
Is it 9 o'clock and we still haven't slapped it? What's going on?
Let's slap it now.
Yes, y'all, with possibly the latest map slapping on the record in the history of the Remix Morning Show. Here we are. It's the Remix Morning Show, broadcasting live or exclusively on Black Power Media. Today is Wednesday, March the 29th. 9:05 in the morning. We have Jacqueline Luqman, Dr. Jared Ball, Kamal Franklin, Kim Brown, the ear doctor in the background, being very patient with us and teaching us about slackness. Jared Ball letting us know that pocket is actually a chapter and a verse in the middle of the New Testament. So appreciate that.
Amen.
So news, everybody. Do we have any news to bring to our esteemed comrades, the remixers, this morning? Good morning, remixers. Are we going to get a mix? What are we looking like numbers here? What does that say? 200 plus?
What was the new threshold we got set?
I thought it was 275. Oh,
303. We've been hovering around 292, 294, 296.
Nice.
We need 10 more remixers to come in and join in, and we can get our mix at the end of the show. So we get that done. And we need some more money. My camera is holding on for dear life. It's the 29th of March. I mean, paychecks are on the way. We haven't had a good kind of lump of cash in a long time, y'all. In a long time.
But come on, no one wants to give you money for a camera if you're going to leave it on the floor for the kids to step on. I mean, what?
People want us to spend the money they give us responsibly. And you
also, I embezzled some Black Power Media money. So let me tell you what I did by mistake.
If you embezzled it, it wasn't a mistake.
Are you telling on yourself?
Was it embezzlement then?
Oh wow.
What did you embezzle?
It's for $12.
Okay.
But at every fucking parking meter in Atlanta, my cards do not work. So I was late. I was just like using cards. And the only one that worked, the only one where that strip worked was the BPM one. So I owed the show like $12. The whole network, $12.
Wait, hold on.
I'm just saying, no.
Wait a minute. No, let's back up. We have credit cards?
You don't got credit cards. Brooklyn has the credit card, which is already the fatal flaw of BPM. Brooklyn running around with the credit card.
All the money.
Like, God damn, all the thing is not working. Like, what's this card? Put that in. Like, ding ding. It's like, because it never gets used. So the strip is still. I don't understand. How come these banks could do everything they in the world, but they can't get a strip to work on the back of a card for more than like 2 weeks?
But now you know why everywhere you go, Brooklyn is in the house, because Brooklyn has always stolen somebody's credit card and can be anywhere you want to be whenever you are. There's Brooklyn.
Bam, we just reached 302. We get a mix.
Oh my goodness.
Brooklyn, keep on taking it. There you go, Minister Sir.
See, I'm a little paranoid, Kamal. See, I see the feds everywhere. At least I think I do. I think I'm turning into Ray Liotta in what was the movie? What movie was that when he saw the helicopters following him everywhere?
Yeah.
Is that Goodfellas?
Goodfellas. Yes, I'm Ray Liotta in Goodfellas now. So I think, Kamal, that the feds have fucked with the rest of your credit cards. They have done something, because I think they do small things just to be annoyances and inconveniences. I think that is a small part of the psychological opt to sort of annoy you to death or inconvenience you to death.
You got this picture in my head. Wait a minute. You got this picture in my head of the feds coming with my credit card and they're taking like a penny and going on the back of the card. Rub that shit out. Hey, put it back.
No. They sit at a desk and they're like in cubicles, and their job is just to randomly do petty fuck with yous.
Yes.
And so every once in a while they like call you up. Let's just slow his credit down. Let's leave him only the BPM card, because watch this.
As into to instill doubt, to plant seeds of doubt about how responsible he's being with the BPM fund. See, this is a bigger operation here that we even truly understand. And when I think we're having internet and Wi-Fi problems, feds, that's them fucking with us. You know, try to instill those annoyances and inconveniences and be like, God damn it.
It's rookie hazing. It's like the first step. Work at this desk and fuck with Kamal, fuck with Jackie, fuck with Kim, and then they rotate it around. Every once in a while, they're just like boop, 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 and then they get elevated up to higher level criminality. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And yet we still have not had our second strike yet, though. So,
even though you're trying to will it into existence, Kamal, I hear you trying to will that second strike. You're trying to bring it into the world. Just simmer down, man. got the heat off us for the moment, man. Lay low, bro. Chill out.
Well, let's just track it because I heard from Aaron Mate yesterday, March 28th. Let's see what happens.
So any day now. Any day now.
Jared, you have the fucking Skeletor laugh, my guy. You laugh just like Skeletor from damn He-Man. He-Man. I'm like, every time I hear Jared laugh, I hear an evil cartoon villain. So I'm like, who is this? Where's Skeletor?
I was always rooting for them. That's true. It may be some truth to that. I was always rooting for the bad guy.
Until next time.
Right.
I'll get him next time.
Oh my gosh.
All right, y'all, let's straighten up. Let's straighten up. The people came for some news.
I know
now.
Erica laced us and everything too. So thank you.
Erica gave us money?
No, with the stories. Ooh,
Oh, my bad.
with the content.
Ooh,
I thought Ricky
oh
Ryan
my.
gave some money. I was like, what?
Ooh, Kamal. Pimping is in your blood. You get excited about money, man.
Anyway, anybody got
Ricky, you
something?
need to give us like about $2. You've had too much enjoyment over the last, how long we been on? 2 years? That's just for Ricky. Because you said Erica, that's her other name. I'm not exposing them by saying that, right? So I just thought, boom.
Jeez, you still talking though. There you go.
Ooh, can we talk about some news? Let's talk about these protests in France.
Let's go. Viva les gens du
Oh,
France.
thank you for bringing Caleb up there because I was just about to lay it out there with a good F-bomb for France, boy. Because
Yes,
I heard
me
France,
too.
it was loading up.
Woo!
He just came. The reason he came over was because I said the D word, and we have like a curse jar, and I have to give them money. They say every time I say something.
I was about to have to contribute to the the Franklin household curse jar. So
Mm-hmm.
$300.
So,
Good morning, young sir.
good morning.
Good morning, young Caleb.
please check your father.
My name's Caleb.
Caleb, I'm sorry.
Caleb,
dear.
my
You're
apologies.
correct.
Thank you for the correction.
Thank you for correcting us.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk politely about these French workers and their massive strike against pension reform. 1.28 million people took to the streets in France as unions intensify their fight against Macron's pension reform. Completely disregard in the most violent fashion, France. That's what we will say. More than 250 protests, staged in the French capital, Paris, and around the country against President Emmanuel Macron's pension reforms that he pushed through French Parliament without a vote because he knew it wasn't going to pass if he did. Completely overrode them and just said, do it. So now an estimated 1.28 million people have demonstrated nationwide in France. Just today, it's a little bit ahead against Macron's plans to, and this is this is how deeply ingrained revolt and revolution is in French society. The thing that people are angry about is that Macron is pushing the retirement age from 60, pushing it up to 64 instead of 62. And already 1.27 million people already participated in the previous protest when he just announced the plans. And yeah, this is, I really hate when they go with the peaceful protest type of, look, the people in France are like, we are willing to tear everything up to defend the right of workers to have the benefits that we work for. Unions threatened to freeze up the French economy with work stoppages across multiple sectors. Some unions have called for open-ended strikes in sectors from refineries and oil depots to electricity and gas facilities. All oil shipments in the country were halted on Tuesday amid strikes at the refineries of the major fuel companies, Total Energy, Esso, ExxonMobil, and Petro and Neos groups. Truckers have sporadically blocked major highway arteries and interchanges in go-slow actions near several cities and French regions. I just would have loved that. A fifth of flights were canceled at Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport, largest airport in the country, and about a third flight or
That's a lot. Like 20% of all the flights going out of de Gaulle. That's a lot of flights. That's a lot of flights.
Well, trains in Germany and Spain were expected to come to a halt, and those to and from the United Kingdom and Belgium will be reduced by a third.
Let's go.
Most high-speed trains and regional trains have been canceled. 1/3 of the teachers were on strike nationwide. Woo!
Are the sanitation workers still striking, Jackie? When I checked into this last week, the sanitation, the trash had not been picked up on the streets of Paris for many days.
Yes. Again, the reason people are striking, the reform would raise the minimum pension age from 62 to 64 and require 43 years of work by 2030 to earn a full pension, amid other measures that change the current pension requirements and make it more difficult and require that workers work longer before they receive their full pension. So this is what a general strike in a country looks like on the one hand. All right. On the other hand, we have to always keep in mind that as much as, I want the French workers to get everything they deserve, their benefits are gained, their wealth, the wealth of France is gained off of the colonization, the former colonization and the neo-colonization of African nations. So while the French workers are in the streets fighting for their rights, there is no, what do I want to say? There's no consciousness around the denial of the same kinds of rights that French colonialism and neo-colonialism is perpetuating right now in African nations that France is deeply, deeply involved in. So that as a worker, as a part of worker solidarity, all in support of workers anywhere standing up for their rights. But this is a workers' movement that is very isolated to French interests, the French nationalist interests, if you were. That there is no solidarity with workers internationally that I see coming out of these protests, particularly working class, poor, and peasant people in the countries that France is currently colonizing.
So from what I understand, so even within this massive worker-led strike, there are sub actions that are being planned or that are happening in conjunction with this larger worker strike, including the protests against the Summer Olympics that are coming to Paris next year, where the French government is making an attempt to do a massive surveillance expansion of the state using something they call algorithmic video surveillance. I don't even know what that is. but the fact that the French in particular are so upset, it's called Article 7, that is the name of the law that is being considered. And actually international groups are advocating for the not passage of this Article 7, because as you know, like in Europe, they already have a lot of biometric surveillance, video surveillance, closed circuit television is everywhere. So France wants to expand this, and the French people are not for this. So as part of these worker-led strikes, that is part of it. And then the radical Black aspect of this, using this opportunity to protest against French immigration policies, which the European immigration policies are harsh, inhumane to those crossing the Mediterranean seeking asylum. France is not a good actor here, as Jackie has said, in a lot of different ways. So even within the larger umbrella of the worker strike, there are even sub-actions, subgroups that are using this opportunity to make and put their issues to the forefront as well. But this is incredible. And I'm the same way, Jackie, because I'm like, ooh, do I root for this or do I not root for this? Because I'm definitely rooting for the workers. I am not rooting for France, right? So yeah. So this is, but it's still wonderful to see 2 million people in the streets about that action. I love it.
Yeah, I root for the workers in France too. I feel very similar. There's never been a strong internationalism flavor of French left and or socialist and or unions. At the same time, the French have always called for a quote unquote, welfare state or more socialist state or redistribution. Even historically speaking, they were still for the continued colonization or France for keeping its colonies. And they brought into a lot of that patriotism stuff. So anytime France went to war, i.e. like in Vietnam or other places more recently, usually the French society, as in this society, gathers together. Mm-hmm. But what I do like about what's always interesting to me is the coverage of the French uprising, because it's never portrayed as a threat to French society when these same type of actions happen in or even actions not as huge as this. Like if there's a protest in Moscow, if there's a protest in Iran or any other place, it's portrayed a certain way. And in France, those police have been going hard. I've seen so many pictures of them, beating protesters with batons, with them knocking folks down with shields and everything else. And I don't see any newspaper reports talking about the authoritarian state and the brutality being unleashed against protesters, as I see in other places where it serves an interest or purpose for Western propaganda. So it's always interesting too, the coverage of these huge, massive uprisings that are happening all around France, and how they're portrayed, and particularly in newspapers like the New York Times, compared to when uprisings or massive movements or rallies happen in other places.
And just, I see some of the chat talking about it a little bit. I would encourage anyone, and I need to go back and look at myself because I don't remember exactly what he said, but during our interview yesterday, Brian Becker talked about France and the persistence of their labor strikes. And even a little bit about the relationship Answer Coalition has to some of that work here and around the world. But anyway, yeah. So in general, pun intended, keep going. I mean,
interesting though that I haven't seen any television coverage of these France protests. I've seen coverage of the protest in Israel, though. I've seen that. I've heard movement on that. Netanyahu's going to blah, 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 blah. Cool. But it's interesting. I'm like, wow, these people have been in the streets of not only Paris, across the country in France, but also in the UK. Very little American mainstream coverage. But when some shit's happening in Israel, oh, I got that.
It's definitely U.S. in its Zionism for sure, but I think also is that the U.S. mainstream is antagonistic in general just to any discussion or coverage of labor strikes, suppression of Palestinians all day, every day, like people struggling for labor.
What's the story there?
Those damn unions ruining everything.
Our viewers aren't workers. Why should we cover this? Our viewers are all bosses, temporarily embarrassed millionaires. They are not interested in labor stories.
Speaking of bosses,
boss. There you go.
I'd rather be called a leader than a boss. I must say that.
Wow.
I'll take that instead.
Fair.
Yeah. Bosses ain't, they don't really look out like they should. Leaders lead. They just do. Put the action in.
Okay.
All right. With that said, let me lead over to Latif dropping 50 beans on us. We're gonna make sure we get this Cash App thing.
Jordan.
Your man.
But how does that work?
If the donations, Jordan. Jesus.
If you send something through Cash App, someone has to approve. It doesn't.
Actually, no. There's got to be a setting there. There's got to be some kind of setting that has to be clicked, because the CMB Cash App, and someone sends us resources, it just says, "Hey, someone sent you money."
Yeah.
It never tells me I have to accept it. So wherever Jordan is, who just became a member today, he's in charge of the Cash App. He needs to fix that.
You better talk to him.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
Thank you.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And at this time, I wanted to go ahead and do a artist spotlight. I always say if you got somebody that's you're feeling and they pretty dope, go ahead and send it into eardoctormusic1@gmail.com. So with that said, we do have somebody that sent something in, and they go by the name of Kane. And this song right here is something called Black Panther Party. That's right. They got a song called Black Panther Party. So let me go ahead and put this on for y'all and let y'all feel what the brother is saying. Let's get it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
I'm trying to keep these demons off of my back. But they ain't letting up. They got a hold on a nigga, take control of a nigga when you giving up. I gotta fight it. Cause if I go, then we all gone today. I'm gone, my whole team gone, and ain't nothing they can do about it. Look, I pulled up to the valet. They like, who's this nigga in the biz? Just a nigga in some print, still a nigga if I put up in a Hyundai. I wonder what the Scott say. If he could tell the story, I bet. He tell us how the cops ain't shit, and how the media portrays our people. We the bad guys, but they all so evil. Damn, I wonder what Trayvon would tell me. If I was walking through a gated community and if a cracker see me looking black in a hoodie, I'm a hoodie all black, I wonder what they would do to me. Where did we go? I last Mike Brown, when I see him, I bet he would know. Is it crazy that a nigga can't walk to the store and feel safe going home? I ain't never seen nothing like this. I just rig it to my pockets, I can type it up a list of the shit that I feel, but no, I can't ship. They done told us all it is hip, and the system used it ain't fair. If it was, then the cracker shooting up a movie theater would get it worse in this than a nigga selling drugs.
All right, there you go. That is no other than Kane, Black Panther Party. So you can go check that out on YouTube and check out his other music. Thank y'all for sending that in. And with that said, let's go ahead and get back to our Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do. Let's go. All right.
Did I miss? I didn't hear much Panther in the Black Panther Party in the song.
Was it in the hook? Did we not get to the hook, Air Doctor? Was it in the chorus?
What was going on back there? I was
okay.
It was a lot of cursing. I do remember that.
Well, cursing is fine.
I remember that too.
Yeah, this is rated R, man. You got to make sure the kids is tucked away.
That reminded me of my once upon a time unfortunate Twitter exchange with the wonderful MC Rhapsody and the incredibly talented producer Ninth Wonder, where they had collaborated on a track titled Ode to Betty Shabazz, and the track was better with better lyrics, but was more or less like what we just heard. And I just simply raised on Twitter, I just said it's a great track, but it's not an ode to Betty Shabazz. Like there's no Betty in there. There's no reference to her. There's no discussion of her life or her politics. And their argument was the simple reference in the title would point people to go learn. So are we seeing that here? Are people going to hear this track and go study the BPP?
Yeah. That's that
clickbait I don't, right there. No, I don't agree. If that's their argument,
he said he pulled up to the valet in the Benz. Like that was the line that jumped out at me. I'm like, is that what the Panthers
did? that seems very anti-Black Panther Party to me.
to me as well. Exactly. I was a little bit of confusion. So maybe the title of the maybe Ear Doctor got the title of the song wrong. Maybe
that was
right. Yeah, just blame it on the Ear Doctor.
Yeah, blame it on me. Blame it on the black man.
Maybe we need to start posting the lyrics of these. So,
hey, speaking of, big up to everybody tuning in to Sundays and got to hear me spit a lot of lyrics over some beats this Sundays.
Ear Doctor is quietly nice, man. Those were your writtens.
Yeah.
Can we play it? Can you play us a little bit of it?
Yeah.
Well, how about y'all all go to Sundays? It's still up and go check it out. It's right there. Whoa, what? I don't like Kamal's face right now. This is a little disturbing. You need to go get a wrench.
The initial resistance is understood, but I'm telling you, man, it was
Naka the MC.
I believe Naka. No, Naka. You and Naka. That's what I'm saying. And Jay every now and then.
No.
Actually have a little rhyming skills.
No,
but no, I
know
the doctor can actually rhyme, like rhyme.
Yeah, he could actually rhyme.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank y'all for that. I'll show y'all how I can mix at the end of the show.
Well, there you go.
Finally, there we go.
Yeah, that's what you're here for. All this rhyming and shit is extra
bonus. Yes.
So I wanted to show y'all. Reminded me of something by just by talking about the lyrics content. So I just want to know how people feel about this. So this is the Huey P. Newton Foundation. This is Frederica Newton, who I believe was Huey's last partner before his passing, his wife, I think. And so they're putting up pictures of the foundation and then doing of her, and then doing some photo things here. And this is all in honor of Huey. And it's just some things about it that I'm just not like that, the posing stuff. That again, I think is a sign of the times in terms of what people think honoring folks are or memories of folks. And I know, there's a lot of Black Panther symbolism about it, but I also just feel a certain way around the idea of keeping a legacy around versus the idea of keeping the work going. And I feel a lot of folks who are either, and this isn't new, of course, but either family members or close associates of folks, or even did work back in the day, there's this sort of huge, this switch of like, if we honor that person and the things they did 30 or 40 years ago, similar to that discussion we had, that somebody will find it or somebody will get involved or they will see it. But I feel like they're seeing it through this lens of what was, and they're seeing it through this kind of glossy lens of the people who are putting it forward, which again doesn't feel to me like a continuation of the work, but it feels more like a photo op. So I always get a little disturbed by those things, and I just came across it, and y'all reminded me of it. So
this is the first I'm seeing of it, and I don't pretend to know her or her work very well at all. But my initial reaction is often is the same, and is often, with all due respect, very few of the children of these figures live up politically, and I don't think that they can. The context is different. It's not, but Malcolm's children are not Malcolm. King's children are not King. The politics are not the same. As far as I'm aware. So I don't know where Frederica Newton's politics are ultimately, but similar to what I was just saying, I don't see a pathway to Huey's analysis through that. Any more than I see a pathway to Huey's analysis through the last song we just played, or through to Betty through the Rhapsody track, or because even in that exchange, Ninth Wonder, I remember him saying, he said back in the day when people heard Tribe Called Quest song Biko, they went and studied Biko, and I was like, no, they didn't.
No,
that's not what happened. We didn't know what the hell we were even talking about. We didn't even understand the reference until years later when I went back, had studied the Biko. Then I was like, oh. It wasn't because of the song.
Exactly.
So I I don't know what's going on here, but and maybe it's unfair to connect these two dots, but what I see happening a lot with people in my age group, in our general age range, people are looking to cash in, whether it's the hip hop museum joint, whether it's whatever. It's like a lot of people are like, this is my last grasp at something, and this is my only attachment to being relevant and to having a career. So I don't know, again, to the extent with Frederica Newton, but that is the vibe I get, unfortunately. So I don't know.
I don't know. Like I think it's hard to judge these folks. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, it's not surprising that they don't have the same politics, because look at these folks that were persecuted for their politics, who were made to be political prisoners, who were assassinated for their politics.
That's right.
Those are not safe politics to have if you want to have an enjoyment life, right? So I can understand why some people who are descendants of these folks would set them aside, because it's not happy. You know what I'm saying? It's not a happy existence. It's fraught with danger. It's fraught with people, you know, spying on you, with law enforcement and, you know, the trade. I mean, all kinds of nefarious things. So I can understand why people don't keep that political heritage going. So I try not to judge them too harshly about that. Like, especially when we're talking about Malcolm's daughters, you know what I'm saying? Like, they were there when their father was assassinated in front of them. Imagine that trauma that still must leave an imprint on them. The way that their mother passed, also traumatic. Like, I can understand why the children of these leaders fall back, fall quiet, even change their politics altogether. It makes sense to me. I may not agree with it. I may not like it, but I understand it for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. And it don't mean you should team up with Ben Crump.
I can't judge them, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't even put yourselves in their shoes. You know what I'm saying? You can't even begin to put yourself in their shoes. So I try not to judge people for what they do, especially folks that have been overtly traumatized, publicly traumatized. You know? So
yeah, but I think the criticism of of using the legacy of their parents' politics for their own personal gain, I think that is a valid criticism, because I think that's what I think you're right about this, Kamal, because if I looked up this Hella Looks thing, which is it was actually a publication that she had that I guess isn't in existence anymore. I'm not sure, but the picture of her sitting in the chair, the cover of the magazine, the tagline is "The revolution continued." What revolution? The picture does not convey a revolution, except for the connection of that chair to that iconic picture of her late partner. But also the description of the publication in another web page said that Hella Looks is a multimedia platform that began in 2016, which illustrates the narratives of creators and storytellers through a stylized lens. Hella Looks establishes the dialogue for social matters to be discussed in the same conversation as music, art, and fashion. And I don't see the revolutionary context of that. Certainly not in the context of the history of Huey P. Newton and the Black Panther Party. So I think the critique of kind of trafficking on the proximity to revolutionary leaders and that imagery is a valid critique, without like judging people for, you know, oh, you're ripping off the movement. I think that's a valid critique to have.
Yeah, so I mean, my thing isn't to judge. It's not. It's the same way I think I try to approach celebrity or even individuals' work. I'm not trying to judge them. I'm judging the political, I guess, efficacy of the action, the overt action. So, and that's all I'm saying. Like, and no more than I was trying to condemn Rhapsody or Ninth Wonder. I'm trying to make it like an objective analysis of the impact of the work, of the effort, of the symbol. And,
I'm doing a little,
yeah, that's all.
No, I'm doing a little judging. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I just try to keep it there because I hear what Kim is saying, but I hear what you're saying also.
I agree. I mean, I don't think it's easy to, and you know, no one wants to spend their time calling out the family members of people who have given so much or done so much. But I but a little, and I think you probably do far more critique than I do, actually, Dad. But but obviously, I think if you don't say anything, then what happens is that people do fall into this kind of space where they do think they're carrying on the politics, not just the aesthetics, but they'll claim the politics. But again, never necessarily. And again, I'm not saying this about Frederica Newton per se, because I agree. I don't know enough about her. If I'm correct, I think she was also a Panther member towards the end, or obviously just towards the end of Huey's life. She was, again, his last partner or whatever, during a certain amount of years. So I don't know enough about it, but the aesthetics of what is, and again, it's not even a new phenomenon, right? This is the phenomenon that Lenin warned folks about around dead revolutionaries and what happens, but what the state does to their imagery. But I think that can also be kind of, writ large, talked about what others close to them sometimes do around their imagery or whatever. So yeah, I just find it interesting as a point of concern to be like, what happens with these folks and the role of folks who are close to them in life, and sort of perpetuating something that those folks themselves were probably or would probably be opposed to, or be like, why would you do that kind of thing? I don't think Malcolm, would have liked being on the stamp of the American empire as a way to honor like the work that he was doing at the time of his assassination. I think a lot of that can be said about King in terms of how his imagery or usage, or how I don't think he would have enjoyed, being in car commercials or even Olympic commercials with some flashing of some image of him, suggesting somehow that he was for, you getting a brand new car under a certain brand or whatever. So I just think those kind of things step across a particular line that are not about the politics, obviously, but are around self-preservation and obviously resource gathering to keep people going. And I get it too. People need resources, but some of it just sometimes it gets into the ick zone.
Yeah, wait, Kamal, you didn't see, somebody just sent me the clip. I don't know when exactly he said this, but you didn't see the clip when Killer Mike said, don't be critical of black capitalists, because even when Kwame Ture died, it was a black capitalist that paid for his funeral to take place on the continent of Africa. And then, and I don't know if you've all experienced this, but this is also something that does come up for me in the back of my mind when I see things like this, that over the years, there have been times where comrades of these fallen luminaries will have even said to me off the record, I don't like what their children are doing because it goes against the politics of my comrade, who I actually fought with, who I actually did time with, who I actually got shot at and shot back with. And then because they're the kid, they get to run off and do whatever. And I'm actually trying to maintain a certain line or a certain work or a certain legacy. And I can't even do my work because their kid is over here saying, look at me. And then nobody can say anything. So, and they don't even say anything. So I'm not going to mention any names now, but like, if they're not doing it, like, so it does kind of make me feel like, damn, I would feel a real kind of way if at some point, like one of my real comrades that we go through something with, and then 20 years from now, their kid is going to be running around giving college tours and whatever on the cover of some magazine. And I'm going to be like, hold up. But then I don't know. Anyway.
No, but I think this to me is a really good example of the need to, I mean, Chairman Mao wrote a whole essay with steps to combating liberalism in the movement. You don't withhold valid, principled criticism from your comrades, from people in the movement, even from people who are adjacent to the movement, because even if the children of these fallen revolutionary leaders are not actively in the movement, the fact that they are upholding their parents or whatever connection they have to the revolution and revolutionary leaders, that means that they are identifying themselves with the movement. So yes, I do think that we are responsible for providing valid, principled critique, not judgment, not gossip, not we have to point out where their actions and their words fall short or run astray of revolutionary ideology, intent, and actual, are harmful to the movement. Because being silent on those things is harmful to the movement. It's harmful to revolution. And not addressing it does not help people develop and grow, and doesn't help people know how to identify this type of thing when they see it, whatever it is, and doesn't help people know how to deal with it when it happens. So it is it is responsible. We are responsible for having valid, principled critique of these issues, being very careful not to make it personal, and being judgmental and tearing down people. Because if we're revolutionaries, we're supposed to do everything to uphold and advance the revolution. And pretending like these things are not problems, that ain't it.
And thank you, Sounds, for the correction. I definitely started conflating daughter and wife, partner. So Frederica was Huey's partner, not daughter. Same, but yes, same.
But the same argument applies.
Same arguments apply. But thank you for the clarity. I remember reading a few years ago that, and I have to definitely be checked on the details of this, but if I'm not mistaken, Steve Biko, since his name came up, was his ex is I think currently one of the biggest black capitalists in South Africa. Wow. Like biggest business, like, so I mean, and it's like, as
selling like Biko biscuits and
as long
like,
as that's what I was gonna say. As long as that's not how they got there, and it's not like as long as they say, look, I'm just going in a different direction. After the revolution, Biko got killed. That was my man. I'm out. I'm trying to get paid, and I'm not. I
got kids to feed.
Yeah, and it's not like you're saying I'm not selling Biko biscuits, and I'm not claiming this is the revolution. Then the critique would be different. But if it's I'm getting paid, like Biko biscuits and whatever, I would be like,
I mean, but isn't it kind of like a wider critique of us though? Because if people feel the need to sell out in this way, you know what I mean? Especially if they're able to, they're going to. If they have not received support prior to the selling out, selling out don't look too bad, right? I mean, I'll be housed, I'll be fed, my children to be taken care of, et cetera, et cetera. Like my material needs will be met by the capitalist system if the community system has not met me, and to try to meet those needs beforehand, right? So, I mean, I get it. I don't agree with it. But I don't, to me, it's almost the American way, which again, we're not trying to subscribe to nor follow, but proximity to celebrity is a way to, if you can monetize that, this country will let you do that. You know what I mean? And principled or no, but more oftentimes it's not principled, but I also don't see a lot of principle in starvation. I don't see a lot of principle in being in poverty if there is an alternative where that does not necessarily have to be the case. So I understand why people make certain decisions for what they do. And everybody, a lot of people monetize their relationships, their familial relationships. What we talk about, Aaron Mate and his daddy or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like this is the name of the game. If your father, mother, somebody, brother, somebody you're related to or very close to has a name, a brand, a reputation out here, if you're able to monetize that, most people will if they get the opportunity to. Because I'm sorry, I mean, I don't see a lot of principle in being unhoused. You know what I'm saying? Like if there was an option for me not to be, just using that as an example. I get what y'all are saying.
Well,
I understand what you're saying. Like I think there's just for me, yes, obviously no one needs to starve, and there's an understanding that people will do certain things to preserve the legacy, even of their family members, because they feel like their family members' legacy. I mean, there's certain things about I'll use the Malcolm's daughters as an example, and Betty. You know what I mean? Like it was like making sure that the people didn't just see Malcolm through the lens of what the state was putting out there. And so they wanted Malcolm to be revered, and they did some things, right, to make sure that Malcolm, like the legacy was continued and lived on. But I also think, again, my critique or whatever is that there's also a part about going too far with that. There's also a part about shifting, again, from actually remembering the politics to going into remembrance, which allows you to make certain decisions which are way past survival needs, right? They're way past I can live a certain lifestyle, or I can make sure I don't starve, right? I think there's steps between I'm not starving and I'm getting paid off of this or whatever like that. And I think there's a lot of things around corporate do-gooderness that's far more about not making sure someone is living a comfortable lifestyle, or a lifestyle that's good for them and their kids, and they can pay for their needs. That's also into stardom, like you said, being seen as a figure yourself. That's also into wealth building, and you begin to be like, oh, I could put this famous figure, and particularly obviously talking about revolutionary figures, in car commercials and Olympic commercials and all these other commercials. That's no longer about just memories or just being secure and safe. That's you've definitely now been into an area of like, I'm actually getting enough money to where I also can become part of a wealthy class. And now my career is now pushing the works of my lineage for selling them, for value kind of thing. And so I think so. I do understand. And a lot of these folks too, like they were taken care of by their lawyers and comrades and family members, and not just like capitalists, whatever, but there was community around these people who helped them keep going after their family members were killed in very dramatic ways or whatever, very public ways. And there's obviously a whole bunch of that. There are folks who rallied around those folks to help them keep going. The ones we hear mostly about, again, and that's for propaganda value a lot of times, is the fact that someone wealthy did something as opposed to the everyday person that did something. Is that somebody of means somehow who also has the means to make sure that they did it out of love, but somebody also wrote a press release later, or somebody also snuck a story to the media to be like, I paid for that, or I did this, whatever. So I'm not saying that's why they did it necessarily, but there's also a sense of, again, you're right, the capitalist class is very powerful, and putting out stories of people of those in the capitalist class doing something to help support somebody also seem to become part of a dominant narrative around what keeps people going, as opposed to talking about the sort of survival of people surviving through the support and help of comrades who also did things that get less revered or less remembered over time.
And real quick, again, we don't know why these people do what they do, because we won't raise the issue about the problem with what they do. We can assume that they do these things because, they don't want to starve, they don't want to be homeless, but that's our own liberalism in refusing to engage with people about about what they're doing. If the issue is that they didn't feel supported by the community, we can address that, but we cannot address that if we don't actually ever call out in a loving and principled way, hey, this is not the revolutionary ideology that your parent, your former partner, how does this serve the advancement of liberation for our people? this is not it. What are you trying to get out of this? How do you think this serves revolution? If we find out from that conversation that, well, I feel like I had to do this because y'all ain't supporting me, then the response is, let's fix that. But it is our own liberalism and giving the capitalist system this like pride of place that we just automatically assume people are justified in chasing after the bag, using their proximity to revolutionary figures like that. That's an okay thing to do because we assume they're doing it because they don't want to starve. So I really do think that we really need to be comfortable with giving valid, principled critique of these kinds of issues. Otherwise, what was the point of us criticizing Black Lives Matter and Patrisse Cullors for the ripoff they did?
Touche. But to me, Patrisse Cullors, that in that organization, that's something that they chose to do. Malcolm's daughters didn't choose to be the child of a revolutionary. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't a decision that was made, that was theirs to make. It was made for them. And to me, I can't assume that just because these people are the children of a revolutionary that they themselves are revolutionary, or they themselves even agree with the politics of their parent. Like I don't make those assumptions. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that we should make those assumptions either. And I think it's almost unfair to hold those folks to that sort of standard simply because of who their parents were. Like, I'm not my mother, I'm not my father. You know what I mean? So for someone to look at me and assume that I'm like Gene or Bob would be a mistake for them to do that. So I think we need to be careful about that. We shouldn't.
But if you use those imageries of your parents, knowing who they are and knowing that you're different for your financial gain, can that be critiqued? Because if you're saying that the politics are not the politics of you, but you're clearly emphasizing that person's politics and, again, getting them in commercials, having corporations donate, then is that not worthy of some critique if it's understood that maybe you don't have to? I mean, there's critiques all the way around. There's critiques on us, everybody else, but is there critiques not on the fact that, hey, you're clearly not of your family members' particular political understanding or whatever, and you've actually said that, but yet you're the one behind the scenes, you know, for dime one a dozen, like, here, you want that poster, boom, boom, boom. You want this artifact, boom, boom, boom. So I think that also, and again, if you claim the politics, sometimes that could be even worse, right? You're claiming to have the politics of the family member, and yet you're still doing this without an analysis of what this means to the reputation, the understanding, the remembrance, the legacy, the fighting for your parents, with your parent and or partner and or whatever the relationship is. How is that furthering that particular politic that you yourself also are claiming? So.
Oh, it's definitely complicated and contradictory all the way around. But like, I'm just let me put myself in y'all's shoes, well, Jared and Kamal's shoes. You know what I'm saying? Your children don't look at you as political figures. You know what I'm saying? Like your children look at you as dad. And even when you're gone, you're still going to be dad. And whether or not they pick up the mantle of your politics, you're still dad. And dad would want your children, they know, your children know that their father would want them taken care of as much as possible, especially in their absence. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at. The children almost can make, I won't say unquestionable decisions. Of course, people can be criticized about their actions and the decisions that they make, but just from the perspective of the child, knowing that ultimately what my parent, what my deceased relative would ultimately want is for me to be safe and secure, not necessarily politically correct or have my politics all in a row if other things, if my material needs aren't met. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that, I mean, I think we're all saying the same thing.
But I think in this context, we're also conflating children with an adult partner of someone.
That's true.
I mean, because we're talking about Frederica Hampton, who chose to be married or in a partnership with Newton, with Huey P. Newton. And so this was a choice. I mean, her magazine, the tagline is "The Revolution Continues." What revolution?
Yes.
And we've chosen to partner with the ear doctor, who is telling us it's time for the mix that we've earned. So shout out to the remixers, and we can continue this tomorrow and throughout the platform in various ways, this discussion. So thanks to everybody, and
thank you guys.
Congratulations, everyone, for earning this mix that
That's
you're
right.
still gonna give us here, Doctor.
That's right. It's 3:25 right now live. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Let me take y'all back to a place you should know about. But if you don't,
knowledge will begin until I finish this song, cause the rhyme gets rougher as the rhyme goes on. You sweat as you step about to get hype, or should you just listen to the man on the mic? You're physically in this with me, but how could you tell if it's meant to be hip-hop if you're not mentally as well? Ready to absorb the rhyme that I just poured into the mic, so unite and this won't be so bored. If you just keep kicking, listen to the mix and think you'll sink into the rhyme like quicksand, holds and controls you till I leave. You fall deeper in the style, it's hard to breathe.
Call an individual into
right
existence.
now, right here we go. Some of the big and the best.
Rough, rugged and real, you're on standstill to obey your case, so let the man build words of rapture that you have to capture. And I just slapped ya with a handful of literature. This dope, deaf, fresh, hype, choice, smooth and raw. Rappers I replace, rub out and erase. Competition, you must be on freebase, smoking or joking, bound to be broken. Now get your damn hands off the mic that I'm choking. Criminal minded.
That's right. Once again, we take y'all out right here on Black Power Media, and we are out of here. Yeah. We be back in the morning, 8 a.m. So tell a friend it's on again. Peace, people. We out.
We're not promoting violence.
We're just having some fun.
He's Scott LaRock. I'm KRS.